I literally said I wasn't gonna make any more videos about being a lesbian, and here I am making another video about being a lesbian.
And when we're talking about decentering romantic relationships, lesbians, I hope y'all don't think that we're not a part of the conversation, because we very much are.
I would love to think that I'm just going to find my person and they're going to feel like home and it's all going to fall into place. But that could possibly not happen. And am I just going to be miserable if that doesn't happen?
Can we talk about women-centered lesbians though? Like, I never hear nobody talk about this.
When you decenter men, it can be very lonely. Personally, I didn't actually have to experience that, because when I was decentering men, when I came out like 5 years ago, I was dissimilating from heterosexual culture and assimilating into queer culture, in which there's a robust community of people, sapphic women, who they're not centering men at all. Their lives don't revolve around men in the slightest. And so I had a brand new community of people that I was not lonely, because I was finding community with them, building community and building identity there.
Just because you've kind of escaped that like Prince Charming fantasy because you're not straight or you're not bisexual or you're not whatever, just because you've escaped that does not mean that you're not still being expected to pursue that long-term partnership, and you're not expected to look at that as one of your biggest goals in life. And I've had to do the work where I'm like, yes, I would love to be a woman's wife. Like, I would love that shit. But I've had to do the work to remind myself that I am enough and my life is beautiful and fulfilling. Even if that never happens, my life is still beautiful. Even if that is not what's meant for me, my life is still beautiful. And also, even when I do get that, that's not going to be the most important thing in my life. It's just not.
Do lesbians need to decenter romance?
Hey guys, it's Editing Simone here. I just wanted to come on to give you guys a very quick disclaimer. I am not looking in the camera the entire video. My apologies. I decided to use a teleprompter. It was my first time using one and I didn't really know how to position it well. I realized when you use a teleprompter, I need to be reading it, then looking at the camera, then reading, then looking at the camera. My apologies for that. That's why I'm not looking in the camera like the entire video. I hope that you guys still enjoy it. Now that I know better, I will do better in the next ones. But yeah, thank you for understanding, and I hope you guys enjoy the video. Bye.
Unless you've been living under a rock, you have definitely heard or seen this ongoing conversation the past few years about how straight women need to decenter men. Okay, so what does it mean to decenter men? I came across this article by Catherine. It's called What Decentering Men Means for Heterosexual Girlhood, and she describes it like this. Decentering men is about shifting how women understand their lives, relationships, and self-worth. It doesn't mean rejecting love or pretending attraction doesn't exist. It means rejecting the idea that love from a man is the most important thing a woman can achieve. It's about knowing your life is already full, valuable, and meaningful, whether you have a partner or not. From childhood, many girls are taught that the ultimate prize is male attention. Fairy tales, teen movies, even casual family conversations reinforce the message that being chosen by a man makes you worthy. For heterosexual girls, this conditioning runs deep. It shapes how friendships are valued, how goals are pursued, and how self-image is formed. I love how she put that. Personally, I have loved this decenter men conversation even as a lesbian. I feel that it is so long overdue. As someone who thought that she was straight for most of her life, has been used as a placeholder many times by my straight friends, and is now 31 and has never been in a relationship, this entire discourse has made me feel so seen. I've seen the women in my life of all age ranges put up with all sorts of behaviors because they feel that no matter what, having a man is better than being single and unvalidated. And it's honestly heartbreaking and embarrassing to witness secondhand. The only issue that I have with this discourse though is that I do think it's a little too focused on men and their bad behavior and not enough on how women are willingly participating in their own demise.
A lot of straight women uphold the patriarchy through the terrible standards which they hold their male partners to. So this tweet got me thinking about this. The person's talking about a beige flag in their partner, saying he's so unbothered he never asked for details. His best friend broke up with his girlfriend. Why? He didn't ask. His sister got a new job. Where? He doesn't know. And somebody's tweeted that saying this is a green flag. Real men don't care too much about gossip. I don't really know the context behind that screenshot. I just know about the trend of beige flags. And so many of the beige flags that women have been saying about their male partners just expose how little straight women demand of men. In that TikTok and in the tweet and in the replies, people are like, yeah, real men don't gossip. I don't want my man in people's business. He doesn't need to be asking questions. Why do you not want your partner to have depth, to show emotion, to engage in real, actual conversation with you? A lot of women that date men, in their kind of scarcity mindset, I think that a lot of people have socialized them to have, don't demand a lot from men and actually let them get away with a lot.
You are single because you have too much self-confidence. You are not in a relationship because you love yourself too much. Listen, men are out here on these dating apps asking girls for nudes 2 seconds into matching with them. These men are out here watching violent in their private browser every single day, and they want a woman who is willing to act out those scenes with them all of the time. These men think that being asked to wrap their little thingy up when they're going to engage with you, that is like the same thing as asking them to build you a house. They think that's just too damn much. Those are the men we're dealing with. These are the men that are referring to watching their own children as babysitting. Right. Are the men that think picking you up and driving you around and then like maybe letting you take a hit of their vape is like an adequate first date. You have to hate yourself to think that this is solid, good treatment, right? And women are taught to hate themselves. Women are taught that these things are good and that we should be accepting of them and celebrating of them, and we should be like, oh my God, this man was so nice. He asked me for a nude 5 minutes into knowing me. How kind, how much restraint he had. If you are a woman who wants to be treated well, especially when it comes to sexuality, like if you are like, I do not want a man who is going to be dehumanizing me every single chance that he gets, like your dating pool, almost as small as that man's thing.
I'm sure you all read or saw people discussing the infamous Vogue article titled "Is Having a Boyfriend Embarrassing?" by Shantae Joseph. I won't dive into the details of this article because I'm sure you have heard enough about it already. I saw all these women saying, OMG, yes, having a boyfriend is so embarrassing. I have a boyfriend and I find it embarrassing. But honestly, the more I thought about it, I don't think having a boyfriend is inherently embarrassing. I think it's embarrassing to not have standards.
The reason why having a boyfriend is embarrassing is because y'all came on social media and showed us that it was. If everyone would have kept their low standards to themselves and didn't show us the things they were enduring at home just so they can have a man in their life, people wouldn't think it was embarrassing. But not these videos of your boyfriends and your husbands packing you dog lunches, preparing food for you that I wouldn't even feed my mom's dog. That video of that one woman who asked her husband if she died, like, would he get remarried? And he's like, no, if you died, I would just get a maid and a prostitute. Like, you could have kept that to yourself. Being in relationships with men who you have nothing in common with, coming on the internet and telling us that your boyfriend doesn't shower or wash his ass, seeing the blatant incompetence of these men that y'all are spending your lives with and having children with, of course that shit is embarrassing. Because y'all keep getting online and showing us how embarrassing it is.
And I might get hate for saying this, but at the end of the day, I think it's a lot more productive for straight women to look in the mirror and understand why they are tolerating these behaviors in the first place. Because anytime I have seen my straight friends in relationships with dudes that are lackluster, emotionally stunted, and just not like all that invested in their relationship, I've never really looked at the guy and thought, OMG, he is so embarrassing. My thought has always been, I'm so embarrassed for her. I don't understand why she would put up with this instead of being single or dating someone else. So in other words, I find women's low standards embarrassing. But a part of me still does have a lot of compassion for straight women because even though I'm a lesbian, I also grew up in a patriarchal society like everyone else. I know what headspace a woman has to be in to make those types of decisions. And unless you take the time to deconstruct, educate yourself, and ask questions, and build your self-esteem outside of male validation, you're going to be stuck with that toxic mindset that you need a man to be worthy. The second problem I have with this movement are the few people online who have taken it to extremes. They're making it seem like it's a problem that straight women even crave male attention or have the desire to be in a relationship with a man. In my opinion, those women are chronically online or have probably had repetitive bad experiences, or maybe they're currently in a terrible situation. Craving a romantic companion is a perfectly natural human thing to do, and sexuality is not a choice. Like, what do you want straight women to do? So, how does this apply to lesbians? Do lesbians need to decenter romance? My short answer is hell yes. Okay, most women are obsessed with romance and center that in their lives, including lesbians, okay? So this applies to us as well.
The way that some of y'all's girlfriends be your only friend, your only source of emotional support, no. The way that some of y'all still view getting married as one of your greatest accomplishments, no. The way a lot of y'all completely neglect your platonic relationships because you got into a romantic one, no. Like, yes, technically it is marginally better because you're not doing this in service of being with a man. But women from the beginning are constantly told that one of our greatest achievements in life is becoming somebody's wife. And is that better when it ends up being a woman's wife? Yes, of course it is. But you still need to make sure that that's not your goal, because what if that doesn't happen for you? What if that's not meant for you? Because that is a very real possibility. And even if it is, that's not an accomplishment. It's a natural progression of a healthy, beautiful relationship, or at least it should be. So please know that when we're having those conversations about decentering romantic relationships, we are very much included.
We have lesbians that are women-centered as well. Like the same ways that y'all feel about women being male-centered, and, you know, you may not want to be friends with them because you feel like male-centered women, they'll put you in dangerous situations. They're always focusing on a guy. Like everything about their life revolves around a guy. In our community with lesbians, or the LGBTQ plus community, you have a lot of women-centered lesbians where they get in a relationship, you damn near never hear from your friend again. Or you see how hard they'll go for a woman that they just met, or somebody that they want attention from, or whatever the case may be, but they're not really the best friend. Like, that's really a real thing. I want to have a conversation about that.
Under the patriarchy, we are just socialized to believe that romantic relationships are the end all be all, like most important relationship we're ever going to have. And of course, the implications of that and how that is in practice is very different when you're not dating men. But I still feel like as a woman, it's so important to not make romantic relationships like the pinnacle or like the most important thing to you. It's so important to have a goal and a life and something outside of the pursuit of a romantic partner or a life partner in that way. So yeah, I just focus on my relationship with myself and my relationships with other women. And if someone comes along that complements that and is worth taking away time from that, then great. But if it doesn't happen and my end result is having a bunch of wonderful women surrounding me platonically and with my family and stuff like that, then I'm also learning to be okay with that too.
I've noticed in the lesbian community, we are always talking about dating in relationships. Even on all the lesbian podcasts, that seems to be the biggest topic. Being a lesbian is so much more than dating women. We don't talk enough about lesbian history, sex education, art, culture. I don't know if you guys have ever checked out gay male podcasts, but the little I have seen, they seem to talk more about a variety of things outside of dating. I do think dating for lesbians can be very affirming. So sometimes I feel like I'm less of a lesbian because I haven't had a girlfriend yet. And when those emotions come up, I gently remind myself that it isn't true. My lack of experience doesn't change who I am. Most lesbians come out later in life. I didn't fully figure myself out until I was 27 years old, and in some ways, I still feel like I'm trying to figure myself out. There are many women who get married and have kids and realize they're gay when they're like 50. Straight women don't have to go through that. When you figure out that you're gay later in life, there can be a lot of grief that rises to the surface. Grief for your teenage years, grief for the confusion you felt for so long, feeling like you need to make up for lost time, etc. You can end up being very eager to meet a woman and start dating women to make up for that lost time.
Are queer and you came out later in life. Some people get salty when I say that, but I'm 27, I'm a lesbian. I came out at 25. Not only did I come out at 25 as a lesbian, but I had like a lot of experiences with men, if you know what I'm trying to say. But lately, I've been feeling so much extra grief over all these years that I feel like I lost by not coming out sooner. Don't get me wrong, I am like a huge believer in everything happening for a reason. I think I'm here where I am in my life because of all the really difficult things I've been through. One, being in the closet for so long. But that also doesn't diminish the fact that it is really hard to not get stuck in the what ifs of, you know, what if I had come out sooner? Like, what if I had let myself be my authentic self sooner? Like, could I have sidestepped a lot of the struggle I had I definitely could have sidestepped all the uncomfortable situations I had with men. But yeah, just this like overall feeling of grief and like, oh, it just feels so unfair. And again, I'm not mad at my younger self for not coming out sooner. She had her reason. She was very confused, and I have so much compassion for that version of me, but just so much grief over what could have been and what my life could have looked like and the joy that I maybe could have felt earlier. Like so many other factors of why life felt really, really hard growing up, other than not coming out, just like loss and grief and mental health and things like that. But I also think that not coming out was like one of the biggest things. And going off of that, sometimes I feel like really disconnected from my age. Like I said, I'm 27, and I feel like there's this piece of me that feels like I just started my 20s, because it wasn't until 25 I got to experience real love and like that young love, like giddy feeling of like actually liking someone and actually being in a viable relationship and actually loving a person. And so sometimes I just feel like I shouldn't be 27. Like I want to go back, and I don't know, like I think aging is beautiful, and I know that my 30s are going to be amazing, but it's just this like weird disconnect from my age and this grief over younger me. So does anyone else relate?
Have you ever heard anyone ever talk about queer timelines?
No, actually.
It's the concept that the timelines of our life can be really different from our straight counterparts. So, for instance, if we view our lives as a timeline, generally we go through 5 objective life events to adulthood.
Okay, go.
We finish school, we get a career, we get married, we buy a house, we become parents.
Whoa.
These expectations may be delayed or completely irrelevant for queer people. There's a theory that queer people face a second adolescence. First, living out the identities that we're told we should embody, where we suppress or come to terms with our queer identities. Then a second queer adolescence might be experienced, where maybe we experienced our first kiss with someone we want to kiss, or like first feeling comfortable with how we want to dress. But basically it pushes our timelines further down the road. So when we get to adulthood, the 5 objective life events may seem more unattainable because they're based on objectives that are less achievable historically for queer people. Like when we recognise that gay marriage wasn't legal. As those objective life events become more accessible, this may be something that changes. For instance, will Gen Z still experience these differences in their timelines, or would they reject them altogether?
Second adolescence, had another first kiss. This time I was older and I got butterflies. I'm not afraid to die anymore, 'cause all of my friends will be holding the door.
A lot of lesbians might not have a good community. Many gay people are not as close to their family or are completely estranged. This can lead to isolation and loneliness.
I think what makes it harder to like go through something that's painful with a girl as a queer person with parents that with a mom that doesn't accept you and wishes that you weren't gay is that like whenever you go through something hard, like all I want is just to talk to my mom and like vent to her and like have her hug me and tell me that it's gonna be fine, and I have to just like keep it all to myself.
Hey guys, it's editing Simone here. Yeah, as I was just adding that video, it just made me think of like how I kind of experienced something similar, or when I had that realization for myself. I remember when I was going through like my first heartbreak with a girl that I wasn't even in a relationship with. Anyways, my first heartbreak with a girl, I was having a really, really hard time. There were a lot of other things that were going on in my life at the time, which was making this even worse. I think I had said something to my mom, and I remember just realizing that her reaction was not her normal reaction. She would either just be quiet and she would not say anything, or she would just say like one thing and then just like leave it at that, because like she's not like totally cold. Like she would just be like, oh, like I don't even know why you're worried about that girl, like she wasn't even that great, or like she'll just like say like something like small and that's it, which I guess is better than nothing. But I remember it was just really hard for me because, I don't know, it just hit me that I was like, oh, from now on, like, it's going to be different. I'm not going to be able to talk to my mom about this stuff. I'm not going to really get any comfort from her. And she's not really Like, I just know if I was talking about a guy, she would be invested. She'd like really care. She'd want to listen. Her reactions would be different. It was a tough pill for me to swallow at the time. Yeah, it sucks. It's not fun.
You know, I think why a lot of women fold, and particularly queer, I say that with quotes, queer women fold and some of them end up in relationships with men. We don't talk enough about the loneliness that comes with lesbianism. I don't know if it's just me. Only the strongest will survive, okay? And if that loneliness really gets to you, you could completely end up capitulating to a heterosexual relationship just because they're so easy to come by. And I don't think every woman is built to be able to sustain long periods of solitude. Now, maybe it's just me because I do see some lesbians, you know, they're constantly in and out of relationships, you know. I'm not that kind. I'd like to think that I'm pretty picky, too, as to who I would decide to be in a relationship with. But nothing really prepares you for just the amount of loneliness that you are going to endure on this journey. Some days I'm cool with it, some days I'm not. I don't know. I wonder if anyone else feels the same. Let me know.
Do I think it is healthy to center romance in dating your entire life, or at all? No. Do I understand why some lesbians, especially late in life lesbians, are so focused on romance? Yes. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that I don't think it's healthy to be romance centered, but I have so much compassion for why some lesbians are like that. I think we need to be having more conversations around building queer community and how to find community. I myself have been thinking about starting an online group for a few years now because sometimes you have to create what you want and not wait for someone else to do it. I would love to see more conversations online about second adolescence and maybe bringing some therapist or a psychiatrist in to have these conversations with us. What are y'all's opinions on this? Do you feel the way I do or have a completely different view? I would love to read your opinions in the comments. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!